Hi, this is Jacqueline with Creative Paper Crafting with Jackie, and this is one of the images from Sherry Baldy, MyBesties. I think they're so cute. This is one of the Snowmen images, and I had a request to color a snowman, so I thought that I would do it as a little tutorial video. So I am using three of my lightest shades. So I'm using a G000, G000. And I am just going to make it really darker on this one side. So I'm just kind of going around. Of course, they're together here, so that adds a little bit of darkness too. And as you can see, my marker tends to bleed, this particular one. So if you take both ends off, they're pressurized. That really does help. I should have done that from the get-go. So I'm just doing a little bit around the sides. We'll see how it turns out because of this little bleed I had going on. So I'm just going to do the bottom part first, and then I will go back and do their faces. And typically what I do is I kind of match them up to the paper that I'm using. But since this is just a little coloring tutorial, I didn't pull out the paper. Alright, so now I'm taking my G00, and I'm just going to leave this laying down here so it can kind of level out. So I'm just going to pull this a little bit, just a little bit. And typically, I will turn my paper. Makes it a little easier for me, but makes people watching kind of dizzy. Okay, so I'm just kind of pulling this out just a little bit. Because even snowmen are not truly white. Kind of depends on the environment you're in, what color they cast off. So now I'm using my BG00. Just kind of pulling it out a little bit more. Just a little bit more. And I'm just pulling it out, pulling the color out. And I'm trying to kind of follow this curve. For me, it's a little hard to do when I'm not turning the paper. I'm trying not to turn the paper because I didn't want to make you too dizzy. Okay, so I'm going to go back in with my G00. I'm just going to kind of pull a little bit more. Not quite as far as I went the last time. Just lightly touching, and just a little bit. And come down here, a little bit more down here, like that. Okay, and then I'm going to go back with my BG00 and pull it out a little bit more. And I'm trying to follow the curve of the snowman, which is really great big snowballs, right? So I'm trying to follow that kind of curve. So that is what I'm trying to do without moving the paper too much. And then I'm going to take my blender pen and I'm just going to go across, see, like this. Just kind of across. So I make sure it is nice and white here. There we go. And I'm pushing it in just a little bit because I don't want too harsh lines. There we go. Now when you are making your card and you're doing all your other colors, this won't look quite so harsh. And then you don't have to do it as far out as I did. It's up to you how far out you go. All right, so I'm going to go back in again with my colors. I'm going to go in my G00 this time. And I'm just doing her face. I'm just coming around. So pretty. They're lovely images. Now this one, we have two, so it's going to take a little longer with their scarves. And I know that can be a little repetitive. But that's, you know, part of coloring. And you don't want to work too fast. You want to enjoy yourself. So I'm going in with my G00 and just kind of pulling this around. Pulling it around. And this is Express It paper, Copic Express It paper, which I really like. It really takes color well. And I wanted something really white. I love this paper, and I love the Sweet Sentiment paper. I love them both. They're both wonderful. And I use them both. Just kind of depends on what I'm doing. But you want good marker paper, because otherwise what happens is your paper doesn't absorb the markers correctly. And you have a lot of bleeding over your lines, and you're wasting a lot of your ink, and ink is more expensive than the paper. So you might think you're saving money, but you're really not. So there we go. And I'm just going to kind of go back in. See, just kind of soften the lines a little bit. And a blender pen is really not blending, it's more erasing. So I don't know why they call it a blender pen. There we go. Okay, so let's move on, and we will do his scarf, and then we'll do her scarf. And for the sake of the video, I don't want it to take too long, so I am going to limit the colors that I use on this scarf, and then that way we can do both scarves that way. So I am going to use, I'm going to make it a pretty red. So I'm using R24, R27, and R46. The whole scarf's not going to be red, but the beginning is going to be red. So I'm going to start over here. I'm going to pick where I'm going to do the red at. And I'm going to do a couple of the cells at one time. So that way it doesn't take quite as long. So then I'm going to use my R27. And I'm going to pull out a little bit. Just kind of pull it out. They're very cute images. I love the Sherry Baldy images. They're all adorable. They're fun to work with. I don't know if you've been working with them throughout the holiday season or not. And I know the holiday season is kind of over. But it's still nice to work with the images a little bit. You can use them to make New Year cards, which is what I often do, is I make New Year cards. All right, and so I'm going to take a lighter shade of my red. So I'm going to take R14, and I'm just going to pull this kind of across. So that way I give it some highlighting. So just kind of pull it across. Now let's go in and do the scarf here. So I'm going to take my R24, and I'm going to go, let me see, I want this to be red right there. So red, red, red. Okay. Just wanted to make sure it would come out correctly. And I hope I did that right. Yeah. I want this one red because it bled just a little bit. And what you can do is take a deeper red. So I'm taking this R37 and I'm kind of going in here. Because see, it's sort of underneath the scarf. So I'd say it's just a little bit more of a shadow there. So I'm just going over this just a little bit, and just a little bit. This is my R27, and then I'm taking my R24, and I'm gonna kind of pull out. There we go. And then I am going to go back again, my R27, do a little bit more. There we go. And then I'm going to take my lighter color, my R14, just kind of pull it across. See? Just pull it across. And you can always go back and you can add as much shading as you want. And when you add your other colors. Alright, so now for this part of the scarf, see, it kind of overlaps, so it doesn't really matter which ones you pick to be red. If you're trying to avoid them overlapping, it's not going to matter, is my point. It's not going to work. So I'm using my R24. Here we go. I'm just going to do like every other one. Take my R27, just kind of pull it out. R46, a little bit more. Red's a hard color to work with. Then I'm going to take my R14 and just kind of pull it all out. There we go. And so like this one here, I don't like the harsh line. See? So what I do is sometimes I go in it. There we go. See? Put a couple more layers on it. There we go. Now I do think the heart. Let's use the R37. Let's go around this way with it. So that was my R27, which is actually R37 rather, which is actually a bit darker. I'm going to take my R46 and just kind of pull it like so. Then I'm going to go in my R14 and kind of pull it, push it, not pull it, but push it. See? There we go. And so I'm going to go in again. Let's do a second layer. And these are quicker images because they're snowmen. And whatever your end thought for your cards that you're going to put this on, you could match up your paper and make it an adorable card. There we go. All right. So I want to also do, just for the sake of the video, to kind of speed things up a little bit, I'm going to do her scarf also in the red. So let me start with my R24, and I'm going to skip this one right here, but I'm going to do this one. So I'm just going to go in. So I'm going to skip that one and go over here. And this one right here. Then I will make another video of the card, making a card with these. But I just wanted to show you how I color my snowman. I'm going to pull this out just a little bit more. And snow women. It's not just snowmen, is it? It's snow women. There we go. I'll take my lighter red and just pull it. There we go. Just like that. And they're so in love, so they have matching scarves right there. That's love for you when you have matching scarves, right? All right, so we're going to do green. Actually, we're going to do kind of a turquoisey green. Let's do that. So I'm going to use my BG45, my BG23, and my BG11. And you can always like test your colors to see which ones are darker and which ones are lighter. See? So you can always test them. All right, so I'm going to go with my lighter color. I'm just going to kind of pull it. It's very similar to the color of the snowman, I know. I'm going to go ahead and work my way across while I'm doing this one. It's okay. My BG23. I'm just going to add a little bit more right there. A little bit more under the chin. See, a little bit under the chin here. Give it a nice, kind of a nice little shade. And go in here. And take my darkest color, my BG45. And just kind of go a little bit more. Just try to be a little light-handed because sometimes I am heavy-handed. There we go. And take just a little bit more of my medium right beside it because I do want this to be darker looking than the snowmen, so I'm trying to make that a little more emphasis there. Then take my lighter color and pull it across. See? Like that. And like that. There we go. Pull it across. Give it a nice pull. There we go. Now, I'm going to take my medium color and just see I'm marrying my markers together a bit. Just kind of going back in, give it a little bit more color. And you can do that if you don't have enough markers to make an entire shading family. If you just kind of marry them together, it will do the same thing. And then I'm going to go back in just a little, just a touch. Just add a smidge. Because you can shade, you can go back over and shade as many times as you want. Okay, so now let's do this part. So, gets a little easier towards the end because you know exactly where you want your color to go. I'll take my medium and I'm going back in. And I take the darkest and then we blend at the end. I'm going back in and not going as far as I did with the other ones, see? And you go back with your medium. Then we'll blend it out. Okay, so we'll go in with our lighter color, blend it out. And there we go. Blend it out. Blend it out. There we go. See? So cute. Now, let's do the carrots. So I'm using YR04 and Y18. The carrots are pretty small. So I'm just going to use 2. So I'm putting my darker color here on the end. And then I'm going to pull it out with my lighter color. Here we go. And now let's do her ribbon. So we are going to use RV29 and RV25 for her ribbon. Because she is a pretty girl. So she still wants a pretty, you know, her ribbon to be a pretty color. And I see a little bit of touch-up I need to do on his nose. So I'm just putting the darker colors towards the end, and I'm going to pull it out. I'm actually kind of pulling and pushing. I'm kind of going back and forth in the middle. See? I'm going towards it. So I'm pushing, but then I'm pulling when I get to the color. So pushing, pushing, and then pulling it out. See, here's pulling. That's where you're touching your colors. See, and pushing is where you're not, and you're meeting the color. So I'm going to pull this one out, There we go. There we go. And I see a little spot on his nose, so I'll make sure I get the right one. Oh, wrong end. There we go, just like so. Now, you can either take your blue, or you can take a warm gray. See, because you want to, you know, you've got snow, so you don't want them just floating in the air. All right. But you could make some snowbanks, waves of snow if you wanted to. I'm just taking my blender, kind of going over it to pull it out. See, I'm just kind of pulling it out. Actually, you can even go like this to pull it out a bit. See, like so. Kind of pull it out. When it dries, it'll lighten it up quite a bit. There you go. So there we go. And that is how I color my snowman. And then I would take my paper that I'm going to use. For example, I love this paper. For example, I might use this paper to make my card with. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will post my colors. Thank you.